my life, and I hope people understand when I tell my story how much credit I give this, is nature. No shoes. And I'm talking, I couldn't get very far. There was a funny like tree that stuck out of the cement car park out the back. I would literally hug it. Be the middle of winter, but it was, my body was willing to do anything not to feel pain, but it knew the suffering now that came with alcohol and all of those type of things. Or out the front, there's like a grassy knoll. Ours isn't that grassy where I was originally. It's more dirt. But that just rubbing would soothe me unlike anything else, because it settled my mind. It didn't as much distract me, as because you get the grounding effect, which affects every organ, including the brain, including your neurological system. In fact, I would rip, and this is very classic of someone who's crazy, is bits of bark and leaf and tree and bring them inside. I would scatter Himalayan salt all over the bottom of my shower, and in the shower just rub salt on my body. And I really think it was a last resort. As a human with such a fractured mind, I had nothing left to hang on to. But if you told me back when I was had carers, had all these scripts of painkillers, all these medications, that I could fix all of that by standing outside, I would have told you you're crazy, right? So there's obviously stripping that has to do, but I've been there. I've been on like massive like addictions, especially when I transferred. I'd still been drinking, and there was vaping, and there was smoking, and there wasn't that much addictive food, but there was pharmaceuticals. I stopped it all. And the power
Wow. That's
that
amazing.
holds,
The strength you
yeah,
had to do that.
it's like I also think of back into psyche, and it's how often people take their shoes off, they look crazy, rubbing and holding onto the ground, because you become so dissociated. It truly has this power. And I always have to think back, and what is one willing to do? Because people see my transformation and they probably think lucky. No, 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 no. How much work has gone into getting me to this spot? There's
Yeah.
not even words. Like, that's even a few seconds I'm describing, right? But I have to ask a person, what are you willing to do when you feel uncomfortable? If overeating on avocados or having a coffee will eventually cause you harm, is it not best to throw yourself in the water, to get in nature? It's not forever. I believe nature allowed me to process things. Of course, we can't process everything we've been through. It's crazy to think we can. The brain is designed to not remember everything so we can live in the moment. But what if, instead of like numbing, nature might be there, and we might look crazy, but trust me, it's better than being driven crazy, right? It's like a
Exactly.
healing thing.
I completely agree. And one of the places that does that for me is a beach, and the sand and the sound of the waves. So even if you can't get to a beach, and maybe you're in a position where you can't even get outside as much if it's cold, you can also try, like you said, to at least get out where you can, just feeling the fresh air or recreating it. Like, I like what you said about putting the salt in the shower. I mean, if you have to, like, get a little noise box or
The
YouTube
beach.
waves, create a beach, right? I'm gonna have a sandbox in here. Dawn's gonna be like, "What are you doing?" Um, going back to my
Oh,
childhood.
but it's, what are you willing to do, right? If in
Exactly. You have
fact,
to
how is it too
mental.
far-fetched?
Mhm. I was like, mental health is so important, and I think that's a big point that you bring up. Sometimes we're trying to so hard to fix everything with diet, where I feel like raw foods, healed so much for me. Not only, like the back pain and the allergies and things and the weight loss, but it also helped me clear my mind so I could identify those things. But still, if you're trying to lose weight, for example, I didn't even learn until about a year ago that those things that emotion or that fight or flight could be holding back some of your health goals. And we don't even realize how important our thoughts and our mind play into what's going on in our body. So we might be not understanding, I'm eating only grapes and blueberries, but I still don't feel my best. And sometimes it's something mentally that we need to, find a way to reach that space where you're finally feeling at peace And sometimes it's a
Yeah.
lot of work. It's a journey, and it's sometimes it's uncomfortable, like you said, to be like, I think I said this in a video once, it takes a very strong person to be different from everyone else, because a lot of people in the world are more apt to want to go out and, drink or smoke or whatever it is. That's how people, or eat bad food, like it's just the way we've been socialized. And to put yourself in a box like, no, my health and my mental health right now are important, so I need to spend this amount of time by myself, and I need to do these things for my health. It's a difficult thing, and it takes, that takes strength in itself.
Yeah, I think also healing, when you get so much from food, you can't not feel indebted to it. And I think that's where your job comes from, my job comes from. Our healing journey and our passion is, if something can give us so much, we feel like we have to spread the word. But I feel like I always give this analogy about the key to lock the door that unlocks my happiness, is that the key is the food. The lock is nature. So you have to put the food, you are nature, but you have to then plug into nature. And then everything else on that door is sleep, Pilates, good people, low stress. And then you can swing open the door, and there is my happiness. So there's different components. And I know different people will say different things have completely changed their life. And I do think we put, and it's how the brain works, is we put this value. So just say somebody got a lot of healing from colonics, or they got a lot of healing from juices over just raw foods, is they will hold a value. And then a lot of people are like, this is what healed, this is what healed, this is what healed. But if spending days and days and days in nature came before these things, the juicing, the colonics, even the raw food, I wonder how much healing a person would get, and then be selling or telling a story in a different way. So you have to remember, is what most people are promoting or saying change their life is true, but it's usually what they've got the biggest gain from. And
It's
I just
a progression of a conglomerate of things, or like you
yeah,
said.
like, and then these people find raw foods and they're like, yeah, more healed, but it was that first step, like that first step. But the first thing for me that I notice is, if I take out raw foods, not that I've ever come off it and tried to do these things, but I have memories of my sleep patterns when I wasn't on raw food, or even when I would choose to do exercise when raw food wasn't in my body. It's just not enjoyable. It's like punishment. Life feels like punishment unless I'm filled with raw foods, to be fair.
Well, yeah.
That's And so when you talk about getting control of your mind, having it not yap so much. Like, when I think of when I used to drink, is, yes, you'd be numb for a period, but as soon as all those histamines and inflammation would come up the next day, for more than a day, that negative self-talk that I'm breeding and spreading through my brain and then spreading around people, I feel like crap, I feel bad. Like, what I'm putting out there is so low vibe. But we're willing to do it because it's like a survival thing. But what if you feel good all the time and you can, like, rein in your brain?
Yes, and the way that I can tell just a slight minor difference. Even, let's say I don't sleep as much, you treat others differently without even knowing it. You're giving off a vibe. So, like, the
Yeah.
better you feel, the better, you can also be for everything, for your job, for your family, for your friends, for your children if you have them, like whatever the case is. I just feel like overall, getting to the core or the root cause of it, and that cycle you just talked about, like, oh, I'm feeling bad, but I'm going to do it all again because now I'm feeling bad about feeling bad, so I'll drink again, right? And then then the next day, like you said, it's that cycle. It's like, oh, now I feel bad because I did that, and I need to stop. And it's like you're not living in full alignment, even though at periods of time you might think you're having fun, or like you said, you're numb to the experience. But when you feel completely connected to, that you're in your purpose in a sense, and you're feeling aligned with what you wanted to do and what you're doing, I feel like that's when the real struggle stops.
Yeah, I think also people have this misconception as well that trauma is bad. Trauma
Mhm.
builds different parts of the brain in different ways. I can't think what the actual structure of the brain is called now, but what's the guy's name? Someone Goggins. He's like a exceptional runner, runs for 24 hours. He used to be
I've heard
like
of
in.
that. Is it Henry or
Oh, I can
I?
have a look in a second. But Andrew Huberman was talking to him about how people who actually have the longest life have had constant stresses they've overcome in their life. And it's their brain and body's ability to overcome them. Now, we keep thinking, I'm so traumatized, I'm so traumatized. I mean, I missed most of my life, but I don't think I'm traumatized. It's all perception. If I sit in that trauma, my whole dialogue changes. I will talk about how bad everything is. This is happening because it's bad. And that's even making me feel bad. I'm actually a bit nauseous right now. And that didn't serve me. It wasn't good. I don't know whether necessarily I choose. I feel like I've sat with who I am enough to know that if a person is still alive after going through what I went through, I'm superhuman. And I take that with me every day. And people don't have to think that. That's just me. I don't really
Mhm.
mind what everybody else thinks. I think that. And because of that, I want to share to inspire others. And I think when you can sit in that space, you'll realize how quickly your dialogue changes. I can also not sit in that space without raw foods. I have no control over my mind without raw foods. I think that's a bumper sticker right there.
I like that.
I think
I'll
it's
put
David
stickers
Goggins,
shirt.
but let me have a look. David Goggins.
Andrew? Oh no, that was Andrew
I think it's
Huberman. Oh,
David, but let me see.
I think
Yeah, it
you're
is
right.
David. I got it
It is.
right. Whoa, my brain is working,
I
guys.
love it. We used to, like, before I was even vegan, we heard somewhere that blueberries helped your memory. So every time I would forget something, I'm like, I gotta get some
Oh, I
blueberries.
love that.
I love blueberries too. Now you just made me want a blueberry. But yeah, I definitely think it's part of the, like, we can talk about also the clarity and the mental benefits, but the way that you can self-identify on raw food, I feel like is stronger too, where you can take, I guess, like, take stock of what you're doing and take responsibility for it a little bit better. Because I feel like when you're in the cycle of using food to satisfy, like, whether it's emotions or any kind of drugs or anything, you kind of blame others more than you can say, okay, how can I improve? And when you start to improve your health, you start to look at other areas of your life, and it's kind of like you can take a step back and a calmer, almost come outside of yourself and look at the situation and say, okay, what could I have done differently? And I know that has been how it's worked for me with after going raw. Thank you, Kelstorm.
Yeah, so here I found it for you guys. The anterior mid cingulate cortex, the AMC, is a critical brain region that plays a significant role in boosting our capacity for dealing with challenges, enhancing our willpower, and cultivating tenacity. When you engage in tasks that are challenging or unpleasant, the AMC grows and it becomes more active. This development has several benefits. Enhanced willpower and tenacity. It increases the size of the AMC and it's linked to heightened ability to face and overcome challenges. And this results in a greater tenacity and persistence across various types of endeavors. Improved cognitive functions in difficult tasks, you will overcome them. And people who are super agers, whose AMC does not atrophy over time, and better stress management. But I think this is so important because it's so labeled. I'm traumatized. I'm traumatized. I can't do this because of my trauma. When in actual fact is the reason that we grow is because of stress. Exercise is stress, and that causes muscle growth. Getting up in the morning is stress. It causes stress, like on the body. Stress is the reason we gain strength. And when we
You get better.
understand this, we can stop and see what, and stop putting down what's making us grow. This is what made me grow the most, is losing everything. and having to claw my way out by myself and get what I wanted in life. And so when we can see like childhood trauma, medical trauma, this is not taking away the body when you first go through traumas will go through like a denial, an acceptance, a grievance, all of that. That's normal. But I think the more society labels these traumas as why we can't move, when it's just asking us to take things slowly while we're in this wounded phase, but it is doing it to protect us, helping us grow, and helping us live longer.
Exactly. I have a little story I was thinking of the other day. I even wrote a post about it. Dawn was watching a basketball game, and a guy took a shot and he missed it, and the person grabbed the rebound, sent it right back to him, and he kind of positioned himself a little bit over to the other side and took the shot again and made it. And I think one of the things we have to remember with our mistakes and when we go through things, like you said, it's actually literally strengthening our brain to know, how bad it was so that we know how to be better. If we don't go through that, we don't get that. And also helping others, it's almost like it becomes a purpose when you go through something. If you look at it as, like you said, oh, I'm never able to recoup from it. But if you've done it and you've battled through it, the first thing that most people want to do is help others, try to come through that too, or at least give them the hope that, if I went through this and I was able to get through it. And I think that's one of the things that we all, do this type of thing for, is because a lot of it is saying, hey, we used raw foods and this is what it did for me, or we, use nature. It's wanting to tell others exactly, what you've done. There was a thing here when you were talking about the mind stuff and talking about I'm traumatized. Neuroplasticity is, I
Yes.
think, when you say something and your brain rewires over time, when you say it and then think it, it's like if you continue to say, I'm no good, I can't do anything right, I'm traumatized, which is not saying that we're taking away from trauma. It's a big, part of that person's life. But if you try to start talking to yourself as, I'm enjoying raw foods, I'm loving nature, I'm healing, I'm working on healing, and start putting those words out into the universe, into your mind, it really does help. And it's not just positive thinking, it's like definitely psychological science. And you've studied psychology. It's shown that our brain is literally rewiring based on what we're putting out to ourselves, or self-talk.
Yes. And the whole thing is when we make change, and back to, there's a lot of things I want to say here. When somebody comes to me and they want to be coached and they say, I want to fix this, but all like, I need to get a job. I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this. And I've been there where you think the job is what's missing in your life. But I promise what is missing is you've never cared for yourself. What I see with people who are successful in what they do and have cared for themselves and nurtured themselves back into health or the life that they want is that then becomes their job, their whole passion, their heart rebirthed the person. And whatever it is, Pilates, art, music, raw foods, is that becomes this passion driven career. So I think the first thing people need to do is learn to care for themselves. It's just so important. Love you for overcoming your trauma. I'm trying to find her name. There was an Australian woman who ran, I will find her name. She ran through the desert for this ultra marathon. Like it's literally 40
Well, that
something
was
degrees.
me. I'm just kidding.
No, this is no, no. So she was running through and there was bushfires in Australia and she was
Wow.
burnt alive. Like her whole body is melted.
Hmm.
And she laid there. They eventually found it. I can only imagine the pain that she was in. And she's a public speaker now, and she overcame this and ran another ultra marathon. I may be even back.
Oh,
I
that's
can't run an
amazing.
ultra marathon through the Australian desert right now, let alone, no, I should say, I
Exactly.
will do that. I will do that. But it's very, and she speaks on stage about that. Now, was it easier for her to get back to ultra marathon running because she originally was a
Could have
runner?
been.
Well, it is, because the brain is trained. And what
Oh,
that
I
means,
see.
someone brought this up the other day about how, oh, Kiko, she said yesterday, because this virus keeps flaring up, and she said, your constitution is so strong now. She goes, this stuff used to wipe you out. I said, it's because
Right.
all I do all over my life now for 5 years is sleep well, eat well, move well, low stress. So when things come up, I'm already ahead of the 8 ball. I bounce back much quicker. I remember getting COVID a couple of times and noticing the only difference, a huge difference of being chronically ill and getting unwell and being well, is you feel so strong. So I will
Yes.
find that lady's name, but it's not there to trigger people. It's there to inspire. Like, it's not there to say, you're not doing good and she did better. It's literally there to say, even when people go through things I just don't even want to imagine, they can come through the other side.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I love that. And it really does give like an inspiration, or it gives, that hope to others, because when you're in the situation, it's never easy. But if you're in something right now and you're working your way through it, it's going to, you are going to come out of it, and you're going to be better for it, and be able to just be like another level higher of a human, because you have that experience, you have that empathy. And that's one of the things I just always ask people to try to remember when you're on these journeys, is you don't know where anybody else is in theirs. So we always have to be, in my opinion, empathetic, to, yes, we may be at here, but other people, might be still in a situation and trying to pull themselves out. Maybe some people are at different levels of raw vegan. Maybe some people are transitioning, and we all have to remember that. Especially, I find we have that responsibility as influencers to be kind to everyone.
Yeah, and I think it's important to recognize that you can feel the emotion. And I feel like I didn't know this even until I went raw, about how often someone like my mum, even when you go through something bad, she will acknowledge how horrible it is. But at the end, for example, I always bring up the broken foot, the broken, at least you got another one. I'm like, Mum, my arm would be dropping off. And she'd go, that's so horrible. There's flowers, there's love, do everything she possibly could for me. And then she'd go, but it's good you've got another one. And I feel
Right.
like
There's the
I
positive.
never even noticed it. I didn't
Right.
even notice it. But I feel like I really latch on to positivity these days. Like, instead of being, I feel like growing up, it would have been like, you don't understand, what I'm going through. Who cares if I got another one? I think my response is completely different because I'm working on myself now. But I think it's fair to acknowledge a horror and nurture yourself, give yourself kindness. But what can you do because you've gone through this? It's why her name is Turia Pitt, if anyone is interested, the lady, the
Okay.
inspirational
I'm gonna look
speaker.
that up.
She's obviously gone through it. Is Learn from people who have gone through it. You'll see their perception is, and their driving force is strong. And it's because she was already working on herself. She was already an ultra marathon runner. She wasn't sitting around pubs drinking.
Yeah.
She may have survived. She may have survived this triumph, and that is basically why people are living longer with stresses as well. Is because they learn to adapt and overcome things and work their way out. I'm someone who's always been like that, though. I've never been like, I give up. I'm like, how do I not be in
Okay.
this situation
Yeah.
anymore?
I think that's such an important like reframe of, I was talking, I actually have a video getting ready to come out when we were talking about the words we say. And like, instead of I have to eat this, I get to eat this.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing, like you said, when it's something challenging comes up, it's like, how can I get this done? Like, there's got to be a way, like I forget what we were having problem with one day. I don't know if it was my technology trying to get the live stream to work, but we got it done. It wasn't like, oh, we're just going to cancel it. I think both of us had that drive, like, no, we're going to make this happen right now. We want to talk about raw food. And I can't remember what it was, but I remember it was quite an ordeal, but it ended up, we were able to do the live stream because we didn't give up on it. And I think that's so important to, sometimes there's a way we don't even see. It's like that third way that you're kind of stuck in this or that, like, oh, I can't go raw because, of this, or I can't get in nature because of this, because I work. But what about if you get a half hour, and maybe you have to
That's
do, there's somewhere in the day that you can get out there. You're just not thinking of it.
so what I think people are missing when they see these transformation stories of raw vegans is that they're like, it changed my life. It was good. I felt good. I saw God. They had to work their butt off to learn to see with that filter. And that's why they got through. If you face a food or a new diet with, this sucks, I can't do that, I can't do this, is you will not get very far. In
Hmm.
a year's time, you will not be doing it. And this is why when I work with people, I am like, if you're going to do it for the next 40 years, we're working out how you enjoy it. Like, how spend more time finding pleasure in a healthy lifestyle than you do researching what you should do. Because the reason people are preaching that their life has changed, they feel so good, is because they're positivity. They're like,
Yeah.
you don't, like, nobody even wants to, they don't last, you don't last long enough if you don't. The raw food definitely helps, but it's hard work to get there. And I think that's the part people are expecting their negative views to change instantly because they drink juice.
Yeah, we're only the seeing that highlight of the after, like that part of going through it is where you really have to dig deep and figure out how to enjoy it.
Well, I mean, if people got up and you're like, hi, welcome to my channel, this person got rid of their stomach pain. How did you get rid of it? Well, it was miserable. It was so hard.
Yeah.
It was, like, these people don't exist. We hear
And
the
you
people
forget
that,
sometimes when you're actually in
that's,
that beginning stage, right? That's a good
well,
thing.
yeah, I'm not saying it's all roses, and people
Mhm.
do share that part, but their whole spiel of what changed their life is not negative.
Right, right.
And that's why you have to be a positivity seeker in whatever you've got. Like, there's no point deciding to go raw and then sitting around dreaming of Thai noodles that are cooked. And you're letting your mind control you. You have to go, right, this is a powerful craving, but what can I do that's raw? Make
Spiralize
myself,
those cucumbers.
sorry?
Spiralize those cucumbers.
Well, yeah, cucumbers. I
Mhm.
think I did at the start. I'm like, in my fridge, right? I'm not going to order food. I'm not going to drink. I got carrots and I just had a vegetable peeler, made them into ribbons, bit of soy sauce, cashews. I'm like, this is meeting myself some way, and I'm learning. It's how my
But look what
recipes came.
happened then. You're able to put this recipe book out and help all of us because of all those little, adjustments you had to make. So that's
That
awesome.
that's right. But don't get caught up in what you can't do. And if it's strong enough, and a lot of cravings will be, you have to use that singular, is it the cingulate cortex? I think that's what it's called. The mid cingulate cortex. Use that, feel stressed, and let that stress inspire you to make a raw vegan dish so you don't go off. I've seen people who have cancer, majority of the time they do grapes, grape juice, and watermelon, but some days they need hemp seed zucchini noodles. Does that
Mhm.
make them a bad person? No, it means they're still raw, they're still on their health journey, they're not drinking and smoking and God knows what else. And you just, the
Yep.
next day, usually your body will tell you. But I think there's this aspect that people have to rein themselves in and start becoming positivity seekers when they start their new journey.
Yeah, so true. And it's I love that. It's that how can I go, like, not to say like I'm giving up the whole thing, right? I wanted to eat, you can start setting your bar higher and higher when you get into this lifestyle too, and you have to be careful to also remember that you're still human, and it's okay if you have a craving for something, but it's like, how do you handle that situation in a sense? What do I do to find pleasure? And I love that. So not to feel deprived, because if you feel deprived every single day and never find a way to to get to that part of yourself that feels happiness, you'll find a way out of it, like we always talk about here. If you go into something and you don't really want to do it and you say, I'm going to try to do it, it's no one tries to do anything that they really want to do. They end up finding a way to make it happen. So just that type of language sometimes I think makes a difference for me. I'm going to try to go live every day this week. I know that that might not happen. I'm already thinking of why I can't. So if I say I'm going live every day this week, I'll get on here and do it. That's just an example. I don't go live every day, but you do almost, right?
Well, yeah. So what I want to say about that, actually, so you having a quieter mind from the raw foods, I've learned a lot about myself. And if I said I'm going to go live every day and I feel very good, I'm not overexcited, but I sit in this space which is very familiar with me, comfortable even. I know I can do it. Even if I do one day short, I'm not too hard on myself. That's another thing. I'm like, I did the best I can. If I say I'm going to do it for a week and I start getting really overwhelmed, is I know that's my body communicating that I've tried to take on too much. And I have a lot of respect for that. I'm not a problem. The overwhelmed feeling isn't the problem. It's my body trying to communicate that amount and what you're already doing is overwhelming. That's why you feel overwhelmed. So I start tapering back and going, 4 days, 3. That feels good. I can feel that. Like I'm sitting in my space and I feel good. And then I'm on to the next thing. So I'm really in tune, and I can only stay in tune with that level of like awareness of what works for me because I look after myself. Like it's like this constant feedback. But I did want to bring it back to how when you get pleasure from something, like your favorite salad is not my favorite salad. And there's many different reasons. There's nutrients we need. We've got these memories that we've just loved the flavor, and usually the flavor is going to have something to do with something that the body needs. And I think that is a really important thing to remember for people is everybody's, liking different things, and you've got to learn what yours is. And that's the fun of it. It's fun becoming an individual away from society and being like, I have the salad that saved my life. I do love green juice most of the morning. Omega-3s work amazing for me. I'm not saying anybody else has to do this. Bits of this might resonate. And this, in 2 years, I may not be doing this. So how do I put that out there and be like, this fixes everything when I know my body is always feedbacking?
That is so true. And I think it's a ground level. It's a stepping stone. If you try something, like if you try something that Skye likes to eat for her meals every day, and you try my salad every day as a foundation, and then you find other things you like, I think that, like you said, is part of the fun. But don't also listening to your body, you mentioned, which is so important, whether it's stress level or whether it's the food. If something isn't making you happy and you don't want to eat it every single day, try something different as long as it's within the fruits, vegetable, nuts, and seeds, raw. If that's your goal, to be completely raw, you can find so many different things to eat. We don't want to get stuck in that box of, I have to eat just like Skye, just like JJ, or, even if you find a recipe that you like, sometimes a year later, it may not be like the vibe anymore, like you said.
That's it. I think also when it comes to getting control of your mind here, we've said a few good things, right? So nature is just so good. Do not push it aside. If you are really struggling and you're just like, I don't know, you're about to take drugs or you're about to just binge eat, take your shoes off, run outside, sit under a tree, rub your hands, touch nature. Just stay with it. Just stay with it there as if that's the only lifeline you've got, and see what happens. And then like water is amazing. If you throw yourself in water, it's like everything just calms down. You get a lot of ions in the air and they can really like calm the system. And yeah, what else have we said here? We've said getting out in nature, and we've also said that you're supposed to have stress. Like acknowledge and be grateful for it. Start that positivity journey by looking at your traumas as the reason that you're so strong. No one became strong without massive trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one did. Even bodybuilders are stressing their
Yeah,
muscles, and that's
stressing
how
the
they
muscle.
build. You do not get strong without trauma. So we go, thank you.
Awesome.
What else?
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, that's uh what else do we and I saw Kelstorm has put here 100% willpower to solve your own problems, grows after each problem, understand it in the process of going from that very situation. It was really great. I feel like the reason that a lot of us end up doing what we do is because of I always think like when it takes 3 years, 3 to 4 years in Australia to get a university degree. You're obviously not an expert, but you're apparently trained and well versed. And I think if you applied that to overcoming your health, you essentially become a health expert, right? In whatever you healed. Like if you are completely well now and you spent 3 or 4 years doing it, why not
Yeah,
share? Why not? It's not that this will fix everybody, but if you start sharing, people could go, that's what they did. They're still well. That's an invested amount of time. Yes, society might put more value on college or whatever, but I don't. I put value on life. Like that somebody's actually done something different than the norm. I think that's exceptional.
absolutely.
So, any others?
Let's see. What else did we go? I think we covered so much here today that it's awesome when we talk about the different ways to controlling the mind. I think we covered a lot of stuff. I know we talked about the self talk, we talked about staying in a positive zone, the algorithm. You brought up some good points about don't be afraid of the stress. It's exactly how we get stronger. Wow, I'm like,
We
I just
did cover. We did cover. I'm also kind of
covered a
thinking
lot.
here how a lot of the topics I cover, I don't go into constant fixing loops
Hmm.
because I feel like I work in the bigger picture. So it's like a lot of people want how to when that comes up like a specific craving, we all sit with it and we all breathe. And I feel like that gives more power to the problem. And
Hmm.
it's not me. I just never do it. It's old me who would sit, ruminate, think, smoke on it, just sat in my trauma. And
Doing
now
something,
I
right?
just don't. And it's the only way that I keep moving forward. I acknowledge the power in what I say because I've overcome things, but I can't just sit in that, let that define who I am, because essentially then I'm just not happy.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So, yeah. Well, I guess that's the end then.
I think so. Thank you all for joining, and we definitely have enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for everyone who shared. And Skye, thank you always for having these. I really enjoy it. I think we're on like 48, is it? It's a lot of episodes we've done of the Raw
This
Food
is
Podcast.
episode 29.
29? Oh, okay. Maybe
But
my
I
eyes.
don't know if it is because I don't know how we got 29 because on Kiko and my episodes we're into the 40s and we're only
That's
two
maybe where
behind.
I saw 40s was. Yeah. Well, it
Maybe, I
feels
don't
like
know. I'll
we
have
don't
to
even
have a
remember.
recap.
We need a recount like the elections.
I will. I will. Thanks for joining, guys. And
Thank
I'll be
you.
back soon. And
Have a good evening.